In a world where people are quick to judge, it's hard to be loved for who you are. Erin Stevens, a wife and a mother, sees that play out firsthand with the women she hopes to show God's love. Those women are strippers. She gives them home-cooked meals or gifts and talks to them about their lives. Katie is one of the young women that Erin met.
Why are you just showing us love without asking for anything or asking for us to pay for something or at least preaching at us?
And I looked at her and I said, because you are valuable to God and you're valuable to me.
Katie gave up dancing and committed her life to Christ. Today she works alongside Erin, reaching out to other strippers. Erin's husband, Todd, is supportive of their ministry. He's the pastor of Friendship Community Church in the United States.
Jesus said that we'd be known as his followers by how we love.
In their book, How to Pick Up a Stripper, Todd and Erin share how their practical acts of kindness with no strings attached win hearts every time. You were on a fast, 21-day fast, and after the fast, God spoke something to your heart. What did he say?
He spoke to my heart and said, go feed the strippers. Because my heart during that 21-day fast had been broken for people far from him. And so at that time, I called up the general manager of a club in Nashville and told him I wanted to bring a home-cooked meal to his girls and love on them with no strings attached. And he said, can you come next Thursday?
And so what happened when you went the first time?
When I went the first time, he met me at the door and welcomed me in, and we set up the buffet together. And then he started the buffet line, and then the girls followed after him because they realized that he trusted me. And I didn't go in with a Bible. I don't ever go in with a gospel tract. I just go in to show the love of God with no strings attached and tell the girls that they're valuable to God and they're valuable to me.
In your book, you talk about this thing called the Engel chart, which I thought was very, very interesting. If you can you like kind of briefly sum up what that is?
Yeah, James Engel came up with a scale years ago, probably 30 or 40 years ago, and it just shows that everyone's somewhere on this chart spiritually, that either they've never heard of God, they're opposed to God, they're familiar with Jesus. Everyone's somewhere on the scale. And so the basic concept with this type of outreach is we just want to meet people right where they are and just invite them to take the very next step. So for an atheist, that might be simply to mean they move towards saying, you know what, I don't know if there's a God. And that's sort of strange to think that effective outreach could cause someone to say, I don't know if there's a God, but that's the deal. But what we found is where most people are at is most people have heard of God, they just haven't seen it lived out. So this meeting needs doing kindness tends to be such an effective way because that's where most people are on that scale. That's their next step, is to see it lived out, and then they're able to take that next step forward toward God.
And so through your ministry with the women at the strip club, how are they able to take the next step? Have you seen them taking steps?
Yes, I'll use Katie as an example. She's in the book, and I've seen, once she became a believer, then she got baptized. Then it was a few weeks later, and we talked about her not sleeping with her boyfriends anymore, and she got a promise ring tattooed on her finger so that she couldn't take it off. And she's saving herself for marriage. She called me up a few weeks after that and said, I'm not dressing appropriately. I want to burn all of my clothes. Will you help me go shopping and buy some new clothes that are more appropriate? I said, great. Now she's leading a vacation Bible school in her backyard today as we speak, and taught a Bible study at church last semester. So, God has just grown her with amazing steps.
One step
at a time.
Yeah, and I like through the Engel chart, back to that again, you kind of come up with a new way to minister to people. And you said something in the book how most Christians is like, well, people just are sinning. They need to know the truth.
Right.
And what's wrong with telling a person the truth? You're loving them. But you disagree with that statement.
Well, that's right. That's a great soundbite sometimes, and it preaches good. But, we don't ever tell anybody the entire truth about everything. If Erin were to say to me, hey, do these pants make me look fat? I'm never, ever going to say yes. First of all, because it's absolutely not true. But, we wouldn't say that to somebody because that's more truth than they're ready for. So that's what we're saying is we want to meet them right where they are and give them enough truth for the next step rather than 3 or 4 steps down the road. They're not ready for that quite yet. That was the deal with Katie. If Erin that first night in the club had said, your next step is you need to quit your job, burn your clothes, and quit sleeping around, that'd have been thank you very much. But by inviting her one step at a time, she's shown amazing growth and now leading a Bible study of her own.
And so what can you say to other pastors, as pastors, what can you say to them that they can communicate to their parishioners on how to get people to go step by step?
Well, that's what the book is really all about. And we've got a Bible study that accompanies it to just walk people through how to get started with being intentional to just develop that reputation Jesus said we're supposed to have, to be known for how we love one another. That's really, I think, the heart of outreach. It's starting with the heart of love, and then it's showing outwardly. So we just walk people through how to develop the reputation by beginning to, in very basic, simple ways, step out of our comfort zone perhaps, but meet needs and do acts of kindness very intentionally.
And for the individual person who's watching and say, this has been on my heart. Well, how can I reach my neighbor, the person I see walking down the street, just the individual who wants to make a difference? What advice would you give to them?
I would say to pray to be used. I did that while I was fasting. I just pleaded with God and said, I want to be used somehow, some way. And when you pray that, He opens doors and provides opportunities to be used to meet needs or show acts of kindness.
We've tried to create an environment at our church where people can basically come and just hang out, and then they'll bump into Jesus. And we had one of the former dancers not long ago she said, this is the first time in my life I felt like Jesus would want to hang out with somebody like me. And I thought, yes, that's it. That's exactly what we want to communicate and what we want people to realize, because that's exactly who Jesus hung out with, was those types of people.